Hello, hola, buen dia, and good morning from Washington, D.C. I am Roger Sayre, an ecosystems geographer at the U.S. Geological Survey headquarters in Reston, Virginia. Thanks to the organizers for inviting me to present in this session on biodiversity, ecosystems, and water. The title of my presentation is Ecosystems of the Americas, Resources for the AmeriGEO Community. Gracias a los organizadores por la invitación a presentar a ustedes en Ecosistemas de las Américas. Es un gran placer darles esta presentación virtual y lo siguiente todo en inglés. Lucky for all of us. Here is my bio, which you can read later if interested, but in short, I am a mapper and I map ecosystems. Here's the outline of the presentation as directed by the organizers. A few background slides first to get started. I am the geo lead for a global ecosystems mapping activity that sits inside GeoEco or GeoEcosystems. And if you'll just permit me to read the charge of this task, develop a standardized, robust, and practical global ecosystems classification and map for the planet's terrestrial, freshwater, and marine ecosystems. That is what I do as the main part of my job at USGS. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with friends and colleagues at Esri and the Nature Conservancy on these mapping efforts. And we have been very busy providing a lot of good new global ecosystems data, as you can see here. We first have produced a global map of world terrestrial ecosystems at a 250-meter spatial resolution. And here on the left panel, you can see an Americas-wide pole-to-pole map of these terrestrial ecosystems. For the Americas, we identified and mapped 216 natural and semi-natural ecosystems, emphasizing distinct abiotic environments, or the distinct environmental settings, and the vegetation assemblages found there. I would also like to draw your attention to a new America's Ecosystems Map and Analysis produced by NatureSurf, which you see there in the panel on the right. They identified 749 ecosystems, emphasizing vegetation characteristics, rather than our approach of emphasizing environmental settings. NatureSurf also assessed the change in extent, which was usually a loss, from the original distribution of the ecosystems until today. And that is one of the criteria for doing an ecosystems red list assessment. If you are interested in knowing more about this new resource, I encourage you to read the paper that just came out in PLOS One and to get in touch with Pat Comer or Carmen Jos at NatureSurf. Then for the ocean, we mapped global ecological marine units, or EMUs, which you see here on the left as they surround the Americas. The EMUs are mapped in true 3D from the sea surface to the sea floor, and they represent distinct volumetric regions based on differences in water chemistry and physics. And if you're interested in mountains or mountain ecosystems, here is a new map extracted from the global mountains map of the mountains of the Americas. These mountains have been mapped at the finest spatial resolution to date, and not just mountains really, but all the landforms, plains, hills, mountains, and tablelands. And finally, if you're interested in islands and island ecosystems, you might want to take a look at this new resource, a global island data layer. We mapped all the islands of the planet all the way down to the size of tiny offshore rocky outcrops. And now for the rest of the standard slides in the template we were given. First of all, our organizational focus. The whole collaboration is a public, that's USGS, private, that's ESRI, NGO, that's the Nature Conservancy, and academic partnership. We work with a lot of top scientists from universities all over the world. And everything that is done is a voluntary contribution in the true spirit of GEO. Our priority focus, we prioritize making useful products like maps, GIS data layers, publications, tools, standards, workflows, etc. Our stakeholder focus, our stakeholders is really the scientific community, both at the level of researchers as well as practitioners and conservation science practitioners in particular. But we also make several easy-to-use web-based Explorer applications that anyone with an internet connection can get and use. For capacity development, all the work that we do is really intended to provide increased capacity to assess, understand, manage, and value ecosystems. Our products focus, as I mentioned earlier, producing useful products is a core feature of our work. We have so many products, far too many to mention here. We're very product oriented. Here you see just a collection of the different types of resources we're making available, publications, data layers, tools, etc. For success stories, here's one. The Nature Conservancy is using the new World Terrestrial Ecosystems data to drive their entire organizational priority setting process. And that's all based on the fundamental conservation science principle of ecosystems representation. Another success, I think, is that the United Nations Sayre group, that's their System for Environmental and Economic Accounting. They've taken an interest in and endorsed the new World Terrestrial Ecosystems data as well for national ecosystem accounting, and especially for those countries that may lack national ecosystems data entirely. And then for challenges, gaps, and opportunities, it is a challenge to produce these products and have them be both very scientifically rigorous and technologically advanced, and at the same time broadly accessible to both scientific and non-scientific audiences. Another challenge is just by the ambitious nature and scope of this work, producing these global ecosystem layers in short timeframes is fairly difficult, but working with ESRI is always faster than you might imagine. And then a gap, we lack an explicit focus on capacity building. I guess we're very busy creating ecosystem content, developing data, other products, and we need to invest similarly in capacity development. And I've identified that as an opportunity as well, because capacity building niche is wide open for us. We have lots of ecosystems resources for you. It's all public domain available. The data are reproducible and standardized across the Americas. All the publications, all the products have publications which anchor them in the peer-reviewed scientific literature. And here's some key links where you can get these resources. The link on the top is a link to the paper, and the two links on the bottom are links to collections of those different resources, types of resources. Whether your interest is biodiversity conservation, ecosystem accounting, resource management, climate change assessments, etc., there is a wealth of new ecosystems information, data, and tools for you to support your ecosystems work in the Americas.